This is the Atoto A6 and it costs around £200 on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, I'm super excited to try this out because this is the third Atoto product I've had, and the previous two have been very, very good. So I've had a head unit and a subwoofer. Now, at £200, the feature set on this one, though, looks absolutely phenomenal, and I bought it because I thought this looks like a great upgrade to my Alfa 159, which already has a 10-year-old Pioneer in place. So this gives you wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and Android 10 built in. So it's got pretty cool feature set in there. If you actually look at the equivalent Japanese brands and try to get the same feature set, you'll be looking at least triple the price. And even the cheapest wired CarPlay units that are about 7 or 8 years old from Sony are at least £50 more expensive than this. So on first glance, this looks pretty cool. You got a bigger screen, you got nice buttons along the bottom, build quality feels good. Visually, aesthetically, I really like what this has got. In addition, and this is the thing that really, really impressed me and surprised me, it's got an advanced DSP in here. And that means you got a 16-band equalizer. But more importantly to me, you've also got time delay for each channel in the car, so you can adjust how long it takes for each speaker to reach your ears. And also advanced crossover functionality, so you can limit like low-pass filters and high-pass filters if you want to install a subwoofer, which I am going to be doing in this video as well. So let's see how it works with all that. I'm super excited to see what this is like. And the question is it worth £200 of your money? We'll find out. Let's start off with a quick unboxing, and then we'll do an installation. The box it comes in is rather small, but don't let that deceive you. There's actually quite a lot of stuff in here. So unboxing this, we actually get a mounting bracket, GPS antenna, ISO connection, a second ISO connection, and I suspect that's going to have a switch drive on it instead. Another power connection with bare wires, so if you want to connect this up to something more bespoke, you can do that too. Microphone, AV connections and subwoofer output, antenna and reversing camera connection, USB Type A port, another USB Type A port. Very interestingly, there is two line-out converters which take the speaker outputs that are amplified and then convert them into low-level outputs which external amplifiers can take. A surround for the head unit. Very detailed installation manuals, which, by the way, are in excellent English. Everything's translated fantastically, and there's so much information in there. More installation instructions, screen protectors, and a slim surround as well. And with all that done, guys, actually onto the head unit itself. Here is the little guy. And when I say little guy, it is very, very thin, which is great. It means installation options are quite diverse of what we can do with this. I'm actually a really big fan of the design of Atoto's head units. I think they look really nice. When you think that you're sticking these in a 10 to 20-year-old car, which is typical most double-din cars are, this is going to actually blend quite nice with the factory plastics. It's not too over the top. I love that it's still got physical buttons, and these feel really nice, good feedback on them. And it's going to look quite OEM when it's installed in the car, and I know it's going to look great in my Alfa 159. Looking at the thickness of the unit, it is extremely thin. I'm actually thinking of getting one of these for the back of my camper van, since it's got Android built in, and this can be mounted very easily in some of the furniture at the back. So I actually, I'm getting some more ideas of what I can do with this. One thing I don't like and I cannot understand is the connection for the subwoofer. This is a single RCA output. And I commented 2 weeks ago on my Atoto subwoofer installation that there's no way I've had to connect the Atoto subwoofer to their head units without an adapter cable that's not included. If I was Atoto, what I would do, I would take these line-out converters, get rid of them and include one of these cables instead, or actually modify the wiring glue to have dual RCAs. Now what this cable does, it allows us to connect a subwoofer using the traditional left and right RCA jacks into one of these, so stereo into mono. 10 to 15 years ago, this is what Bluetooth units looks like. The size of it, it's got power connections and everything going into it. Crazy. Take a look at that. That looks so OEM. I love that. Looks fantastic. So let's turn it on. Let's get this thing set up. Right, now it's time to boot this up, and we'll have a look at how quick this thing boots. And it's very quick. It only takes about maybe 3 or 4 seconds to actually get back onto your home screen. So as soon as you're ready to drive, this is ready to go with you. Now, I will say, if you leave this for maybe 48 hours, this will go into a deeper hibernation mode where it does a full boot cycle. And that maybe takes 20 seconds. But that's just there so it doesn't drain your battery too much. And that's a really nice feature to have, to be fair. So one other thing I like on this is the screen. The screen is really, really nice. So it's super bright. It's just responsive. The pixel density is really, really good. From the driver's seat, I can't see any individual pixels, and the colours are really, really rich. As for responsiveness, this is actually as good as my iPhone, so there's no dead parts on the screen, which I have found with some of these cheaper units to be a problem with the digitizers, but everything just clicks as you'd expect it to, which is really, really nice. One thing I like as well is if you turn on your headlights, it automatically dims, and then the lights come on behind the buttons, and that's really neat. And you can also change the colour of the buttons, of course, as well, so it matches the interior of your car perfectly. I'll just turn the headlights back off for now so that we can see it at full brightness. But if you do find it's too bright for you when you're driving or not bright enough, you can take 3 fingers, swipe up, and you get a brightness slider, which is a little lesser known feature of these, but it's really nice as well. Quick on the move, you just swipe up and then swipe down, and you're not having to take your eyes off the road. Or you can just hit the sun button at the top as well to do that. Talking about touch gestures, one that's nice, if you double tap, you get the equalizer come up with all the presets equalizers that you've saved as well, so you can quickly change that on the move if you want to. Having a look at the equalizer settings, this is quite impressive actually for a head unit at this price. 16-band equalizer, I think that is. So lots of control over there. Also a loudness function if you want to do that. And if you want to do individual bands, you can do this because you can kind of draw on this, see? So I actually like that. I've never used one like this, but it's kind of nice for mapping out quickly the frequency curve you want for your car. As for sound fields, this is just a balance and fader selection, but in a nice graphical interface. Time correction, super useful, and that's a really nice one to have, which just delays the sound from each speaker so they all meet your ears at the exact same point. Gives a very nice centered sound then doing that. And that's something that really pleased me to see that. As for stereo enhancer, I don't really bother with any of this stuff. I like the sound to be mostly pure. And then the bass booster, that's kind of cool. You can actually choose a frequency for the front and the rear speakers and then choose how much you want to boost it around that frequency. So it's almost like a loudness function, but you don't have to blow out the lows too much if you don't want to do that. You've also got subwoofer control here, so you can effectively change where you want that to be boosted and to be cut off as well. Moving on to the crossovers, again, that's really nice, especially like in this case where I'm using a subwoofer. You're able to select the low pass filters and the high pass filters. So I've got high pass filters on both my front and rear speakers around 80 Hz, where the subwoofer can then kick in, which stops the sound from getting muddy and keeps everything nice and clean. So there are features I really like, which does give it a more enthusiastic approach to expanding the audio system out. However, one thing I am disappointed in is before I talked about those low-level converters that came in the box, and I wondered why they stuck them in. And it's only after looking at them more carefully, I've realised there is only one pre-out on the back, and that's for the subwoofer, and there's no pre-outs for the front speakers or the rear. So you're going to have to take the amplified signal and then bring it down to a low level to connect to an external amplifier, which is not ideal if you want the best in audio quality. But again, at £200, this was never going to be that type of head unit, and Atoto do offer better head units in their range, which maybe one day, if this gets enough use, I will have a look at as well, and maybe that's the one for you audiophiles out there. As for the rest of the stuff on here, you've got the Google Play Store, and you can download any of the apps you want, as you'd expect. You've also got 2 Bluetooth connections, which is really nice. So one can connect to your phone. The second one can connect to something like onboard diagnostics. So if you've got those OBD scanners and you use something like the Talk app, you can then get all the gauges on here. So essentially you can expand the dashboard out. So maybe I can stick oil temperature and oil pressure and that kind of stuff on here, in addition to the gauges I have above on the car. And that's kind of really cool to be able to have that as an extra dashboard as well. So I like that. That's a really nice feature. As well as if you want to expand out, you can do stuff like tire pressure monitors, which Atoto sell, which is also a nice feature to make the car feel quite modern, as well as dash cam functionality if you connect the camera, DAB Plus if you buy the adapter for it. So there's a lot of expansion if you want to do that. Now, one thing I am disappointed about, very, very disappointed about to be fair, is Apple CarPlay, because the wireless CarPlay just will not work on this head unit, and I've tried it with 2 iPhones. So I tried it on an old iPhone SE, which still has CarPlay, and my iPhone 13 mini running iOS 17. Neither of them will work, so that makes me think it's the head unit. I'm going to see what Atoto can do about this. Maybe there's a firmware update, but out of the box, it doesn't work. We just get verification approved. Now, if I do plug it into a wired CarPlay, it works absolutely fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and show you what that's like. So now launching it into the wired CarPlay, it connects absolutely fine within a few seconds and works pretty flawlessly as you'd expect. So unfortunately, that is a bit of a bummer. I don't necessarily mind having wired CarPlay myself, but this is an advertised feature. But it does seem to be that I can't find much other people with the same problems, so it might just be my head unit, which I'm hoping. I tried for an hour, looked all over the internet, tried many different things to try and get this to work, and I couldn't. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below, and I might post a short video, one of the YouTube shorts, with an update if I can get this working, just for your convenience, so you can know about that. I'm not going to give you a demonstration of CarPlay too much, because I'm assuming you know what it is. It's a standardized interface, but suffice it to say, it works well, and audio quality is very good. I can't comment on Android Auto because I don't have an Android phone, but the rest of the head unit seems to be very nice. And talking about audio quality, if I turn it all the way up, there is actually no hissing coming from the speakers, which is really nice because my last Atoto head unit did have a low hiss coming from it constantly. And when you wasn't listening to music, it became noticeable. Also, just finally looking at the volume control, I've been able to install the steering wheel controls as well. And they can also be mapped using the steering wheel control setup. So I can use any button on the wheel and assign it to different functions. And that's also really, really cool to have as well. I'm not going to talk about this setup of that too much because that was a bit complicated because of the nature of steering wheel controls. So I'll leave that for a different day. Apart from that though, that is the head unit. And I am very happy with the purchase. I just wish the wireless CarPlay would work. But at £200, I don't think there's anything better out there. The quality is still very good quality, and I'm sure this CarPlay issue is a software issue rather than hardware. It looks good, it sounds good, it's responsive, and bear in mind, the cheapest Sony CarPlay unit seems to be about $250 on Amazon and has much less features alongside this. So I'd still take this any day over them ones, or the Pioneer app radios, for example, which also have wired CarPlay. This is a much better unit because I've owned them as well. If I can get the wireless thing working, then this is going to be an absolute 5-star bargain for the money. I'd still be very tempted to give it almost 5 stars at this price point, but maybe I'll just give it 4 with a caveat that I'll give it 5 if I can actually get the CarPlay to work. But that's basically the review. So if you want to get one of these, I will leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out, as well as all the accessories I've used. And these will be affiliate links to Amazon, but this is still my honest opinion on this head unit. So it's got a couple of flaws, but it is awesome overall. Anyway, I will be doing more stuff like this in the future, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon if you want to be alerted to those videos in the future. If not, just thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next video. So as always, see you soon and take care.